All right. Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Flame, and welcome to Master Motivation on this Monday, May 9th, 2022. Today, we are joined by my guest, Nick Dougherty. And Nick has been married to his best friend and business partner, Nicole, for over 20 years. They currently live in Sewell, New Jersey, with their two dogs, Nina and Gino. Nick enjoys meditation, his red infrared sauna, working out, and hanging with his partner in crime, Nicole. Nick is the owner and CEO of Winterbourne Media Agency, which was the first digital marketing agency in the martial arts. Nick also, uh-oh, come back. Nick also is the co-founder and CEO of Studio Boss and martial arts and fitness software. Nick's experience also includes being the president of Parrella Consulting, as well as the director of marketing for Championsway and Perfect Mind. Welcome to the show, Nick. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thanks, Chase. Looking forward to it. It's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, this should be pretty cool. And, I love sharing everybody's story. As I mentioned pre interview, if one person takes away something from this interview today, whether it's inspiration, motivation, a lesson, or just enjoying the next 45 to 60 minutes of our time together, it will be worth it not only now, but people may watch this in the future and take something away from it. So, first thing I want to talk about just real quick is tell us about Studio Boss and what are you doing these days? What is Studio Boss?
Oh man, that's a great question. So Michael and I, Michael Perrell and I, we were working together several years ago, and I literally, I thought it was a home run, man. Like this was going back probably about 5 years ago.
Hmm.
Like we were building the software, and it was an incredible experience, like because it just didn't work. Like, I mean, it was when people tell you like there's no way this is a home run, like it's like we had the franchise, we had money, we had everything was getting built, and the company we went with was just a bad situation, and we had it just didn't work. That's
Hmm.
basically what it was. Like it was like we went through from a referral, so that was 5 years ago, and then Michael and I moved back to Philadelphia, and now I'm in New Jersey. Michael went through some stuff, and then we started talking again about probably about a year and a half ago. And, it was like because of meditation, that was one of the reasons why we started talking. I reached out to
Hmm.
him just to say, man, how you doing? Like
Right.
no reason, just like, you're friends with someone like that, you're business partners with someone like that. No one really understood what happened except for Michael and I. People think they did, but so I just checked in on him, and we started talking just as friends, just how you doing? What's going on? How you been? And then I'll never forget it. He kind of laughed probably about, I don't know, 3 months after talking. And he said, he's like, we got something to finish. And I'm like, what? He's like, we should finish Studio Boss and do it.
Mm.
And it was really like the timing was really interesting. And, and it was really cool because we had some great conversations about, everything we went through and where we are right now, like what I did with Winterbourne, what he was doing. So, yes, and then it was actually Jason. I would tell everybody on this call. It was I underestimated how hard it would be. I definitely thought it would be much easier than it was. And I just got out of beta, like beta. It's been a little bit under a year, right, to get out of beta. Like we took on about 50 clients, and there was because it was like why take on more people? Just like let's make sure it works. Let's get it all
Hmm.
done, and that was it. So it was really it was one of the most interesting learning experiences of my life, and even right now, like even just where we are right now, um, we're getting ready in the next several months to do a big launch. We just we want to wait. We have some things we're working on, and that's so that it's like here it is. It's like finally ready to go. But it was just an incredible learning experience, man. I really learned a lot about I thought I knew a lot more than I did. Like I know I consider myself a pretty knowledgeable marketer, software guy, whatever. I have a lot of experience. Until you're actually doing it, it's just completely different. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm humble. I was humbled by the experience. A lot of things I thought I knew, a lot of things. So yeah, and that's so we're ready to get going in a couple months. Like we're really just there's some really big surprises that are coming out, and we really don't like to say anything anymore. So it's just like all I could say is in a few months people will see some really cool stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. But first, let's just say hi. I know Joy is out there watching. She says hello, happy Monday. Thank you for joining us. And
Thank
please
you.
feel free to ask any questions, Joy, if you have any, and anybody else watching, guys. If you have any questions for Nick, myself, we're just here chatting and telling stories and sharing experience with all of you. So please, any questions, drop those in the comments. One of the things, Nick, that I know from you over the years when we first met. Although we may not always have I may not have always agreed with what you said or what you did or how you did it. One thing that I always did appreciate and respect is that you're unapologetically you. And
That's it.
and right, and you
That's
were
it.
talking to me a little bit about Nick D versus Nick Joel. Can you tell us about that and that transformation? Because you talked about having a humbling experience and just kind of finding yourself even more. Let's talk about that.
What a great question. Yeah, first of all, yes, I totally get it too. It's like I've always just stuck with like from something my father told me, Jason. He just like Nick. He's like, just be yourself. That's it. Just be you. And like I love my father. He passed away about a year ago, and it was just like even when I was building Studio Boss, there were several times where you just have to trust yourself, like and just be yourself. And I really that was so. Anyway, here's what happened. So about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, somewhere around there, I started reading Joe Dispenza. Like I thought I was doing well, like I was in decent shape, eating what decent, still like my Italian food and just some junk food. That's who I am. And I thought I was doing pretty well. And I read this book, The Habit of How to Stop Being Yourself. I recommend it to everyone. Like that's one of the books I'd recommend to the world, to anyone that's in the business or just in relationships. And it really talks about like when you keep doing the same thing over and over again, even like arguing with your wife, like take something as simple as that. Like, you're like, well, we argue about the dumbest things, but it keeps happening, right? Like, well, there's a reason and it's not the reasons you think. Like, and what the book really led me to was that I really I read a book a week for 5 years. Like I just loved it. I was reading. But the difference with this book was that the books, they make minor changes and they, you get some like an injection. It's like rewriting software, like you're changing yourself because of all the intake of information. However, to change your physiology, it's completely different. Like if you want to change like the things that you react from, things that are repressed, because those are the lower frequencies, like repressive natures and reactive natures. If you want to change that, like the way you react to things or anything like that, you're not going to do it from a book. You might think you're changing it, but you can really change the biological makeup of your cells by doing meditation and activating different things that change your physiology. And that's how you actually change your reaction. You don't become reactionary. You become just where you let things go. Really, just you catch yourself before it gets there instead of reacting. And I'm a big reactor. I was a big reactor. I had like as much as I love my father, we had some battles and there was some crazy stuff that went on in the household, trauma. Like that's things like that in our childhood. Like if you look at your life cycles of childhood, 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21, you really could identify where the things that are the triggers of your reactions and what make you keep doing the same thing over and over again. And I just didn't want to do those things over and over again. I didn't want to be angry. I didn't want to, just react. So I read that, and getting back to Nick D. Nick D was the Red Hood, and I'm just going to tell you how it is. And it's like I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, and like hopefully you do some with it. If you don't, then whatever. Like that's what I would do. I would go on these tangents of just like, man, stop complaining about shit. Like stop, like change your story. Like just like I would listen to school owners the same things, and I'm like, so I would get into this like rage and just try to get people pumped up, and it was great. Like a lot of people, it helped them out a lot. But as I went through this transformation, like you mentioned with the meditation, I did a lot of meditations with his. There's the three best meditations from Joe Dispenza: brain and heart coherence. That's like measuring, bringing your brain and your heart together. And then there's the one for the pineal gland, which is getting rid of like trauma. It's an incredible breathing meditation. And then the other one that I really love is the Bradley Morris the Bradley Morris chakra activation. That is like that is a vibrational, like you're making sounds and you're activating your chakras. So sorry, Jason, as I went through this, I no longer like when I read and I understood what had happened. Like it's not that Nick D is bad. It's right. It's that I'm no longer that guy. Like I don't react. I don't do the same things. I've changed. Like Same thing. My wife is sitting right over there. It's funny. We've actually gotten arguments because she's arguing over something or upset about something. And I'm just like, instead of being like going back and forth, I'm like, hey, babe, let's just not worry about it. That's, and then she'd be like, what do you mean? Like she would get angry because I'm not coming back like I used to. So anyway, so my middle name is Joel. Everyone chops up my last name anyway. That's why we went by Nick D. And and also too, like when I talk about the transformation, it's like even the creation of Studio Boss. Like this is my first creation where they're actually like my spirit was involved, and that, believe it or not, is when your best creation will occur. Is when your spirit, like I meditated on Studio Boss. Like when I tell you that I've sold Studio Boss, I have already sold it. Like I already know the outcome, like of where this will go. And so my future self, I've meditated in the future. This company's already been sold. So that's another a higher level of meditation is going in the future and you get touching your future self. What you're doing is you can experience things that haven't happened yet. The same way I'm talking about meditation, getting rid of things, you can change the body and physiology by pretending like, okay, I sold this company. How do you feel? Like you saw, like, here's what happens for me, Jason. I tell the same exact story. I'm on stage and someone asked me a simple question. I think we sold it for like 30 million. That's what I believe we'll do, something like that. And someone says, Nick, what is the best tip you can give me? And it's so funny, Jason, you know what it is? The same thing you asked this original question. Like, what is the most important thing? The most important thing is to find you. Like you think if you're not going inside of you and meditating inside of you, then you are a surface level you. Like the real you is internal. It's not external. And if you like people talk about purpose like you have to really search, man, inside of yourself if you want to find yourself. And so that's where I'm at.
Well, and so tell me, what made you go on this search? How did you get turned on to meditation? Why meditation? Talk
That's
about those.
a great question. So what happened was Nicole and I we were building a house in New Jersey. So we were in the city and, it was like right around the election of 2020 when this was all happening. Right. So we're building a house right when COVID was first beginning, you know what I mean? So it was very interesting time to say the least. And during this time, like we moved in the house in November of 2020, like right at November 1st, actually it was Halloween, October 31st, we moved in. And unfortunately, while during that time, while our house was being built, we were living with my mother and father because my father was on his last, like basically the 3 months, like he had dementia. And it's interesting. You're asking me like, why did I get into meditation? Because now my father, like who gave me such a great, incredible life from sacrificing so many things for himself, he never exercised. He ate poorly his entire life, and he retired and he had no purpose. And, I knew that it was like, unfortunately, that's what leads to death. So when I was there, it was heartbreaking to see my dad, who I admired so much and loved so much. Like he just, was withering away. Here I am like showering him and giving him baths and cleaning up his messes. And it was really sad to see, but at the same time, it was also like, I was really just grateful for the time that I had with him during that time period because of my work. I was able to really just like, honestly, I didn't work for a good, I'm really blessed to have great guys with me. There was like probably 3 to 6 months. I don't think I really did. Besides checking in, I didn't really work. Like I was like, everything was on autopilot, so checking in with the guys. And I just really spent time with my dad as much as I could, hung out there. Yeah. So then unfortunately, on the 19th of November, right after I moved in, my dad passed away. And then even crazier, about 30 or 45 days after that, my wife's mother got COVID, and then same thing. My wife has a sister with special needs. She had COVID. And my wife's mother passed away. And then our sister with special needs moved in with us and our other sister. So it was like, really to answer your question was at that point, like, you're working, you're dealing with everything you do, you're helping out your wife, you're doing whatever you got to do. And my buddy Enzo Eliada, he was kind enough to after I was going through all this, he asked me to come up to New York, and I went up there and to Dr. Bill, who was a good friend of Enzo's, and he's like a holistic doctor, and he basically told me that like they did some tests on me and stuff like that. And he had told me that, I was overstressed. Like, even though like you don't see it on the outside, like, you're tough, you do what you got to do. Like my glands and my, my system inside was destroyed. Like I was so much all at once moving. Our daughter was getting married. I mean, like literally we lost both of our parents. You know what I mean? Like now we have a special needs sister. Like, I mean, it's like, I just thought I was building a house. She's moving in. I mean, it was just like so many different like things. And, so that was one of the reasons why I think it was right before that I was reading Joe Dispenza and I was starting then. I remember like when I was at even when I was in my mom's house, I was already starting to meditate before everything was starting to happen. And then I just, I became obsessed, addicted, love it. It's just like, it's part of my daily alignment routine. Like I have, I'll give you guys the tracker. I have an alignment tracker and it's all about like making sure that you stay in high frequency activities. So it measures like, meditation, love, like doing an act of love every day, gratitude, just being grateful. Like, like, and I have to say like during those roughest times, like we were always super grateful for everything we did have and everything that was going on. So that was how I got into that was really that was what made me get into it. And, I just love it. It's like, and I think I encourage it to everybody. Jason, I tell everybody, I'm like, listen, I said, like you're all of us are coaches and everyone's like a, martial arts consultant or whatever, guru, master, all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
The most radical change you will ever do is starting meditation. Like, it's like, and that was the thing, Jason, you know what? I just want to throw this out there. Like, you talk about being real. I see a lot of people like throwing words out of just like, like, oh, like hustle, don't hustle. It doesn't work. This, that, whatever. Like, and like, it's so old or it's this or that. It's like, here's my thing on that one. It's like, so what? Like, I don't care what anyone says. Like if I have to hustle for my family, I'm going to hustle for my family. Like I'm doing Nick. I don't care what anyone else is saying, how I have to be. Like if people are telling me how I need to be, like that's never what you're gonna get from me. I don't tell you how to be. I tell you not to be me. I said, you need to be you. Like whoever you are, be you. But like telling everyone not to hustle or that's old or this is fake or whatever that even means. It's like I see these people saying it. It's like just shows you really how out of tune they are with themselves. Because if you're in tune with yourself, it's like you can't do anything for anybody. They have to go on that path themselves. You take the first step down that path. That's on you. So, and it's like, you don't need anyone telling you what to do. You better like really wake up and look and say like, why are they telling me how I should be? Because they can't go inside you. The only person going in you is you. And that's just, I want to hear an argument on that one. Like,
well, you brought up a couple, great points and things that I want to come back to. What you're talking about now is kind of, I wanted to address that because you talked about feeling overstressed. And we do, there are the gurus, the consultants, the coaches, all these people that have advice. And, I kind of sit back and watch. I had the opportunity to be a coach with Maya for a number of years. Really, really great experience, learned a ton, met a lot of people. And, you just you hear things as you go along, and you touched on it, right? Like you got this group of people saying you need to hustle 24/7, 365. You got people saying you need to work smarter, not work harder. You got all this advice, and you kind of brought it up that you got to find out who you are and where you want to go and what you want to do, and find a path and take that path. But tell me, how did you realize, or what made you feel overstressed? What was stressing you the most?
well, during that period, like when I, I didn't, that's the thing, Jace. I didn't feel stressed. Like they asked my wife, like I just went above and beyond every way possible for my wife when her mother died. Right. I found shocking news when my father died from my mother, like shocking, like, like most people would just be like, what, whoa, this is so the thing was I dealt with it. I kept going. I didn't stop. I was just, I just dealt with it. And when I saw a doctor, because I went to see Enzo, my buddy, who's a spiritual counselor. I went up there to hang out with Enzo, and even like if you haven't seen Enzo's program, he just has an incredible program for school owners that help with like overcoming anxiety, like a legitimate program, like to help kids with anxiety. So, when they did tests on me, the doctor, he saw that my glands, a lot of my glands were overstressed, and they gave me naturopathic, remedies for these things for my
Hmm.
glands. And so the thing is, like, for a lot of men specifically, like what'll happen is that your adrenal glands will be overstressed because you're stressed out and it produces cortisol. And then what happens is that your adrenal glands like try to like make up for it. They make up for the losses, And so you don't even really realize it, Jason. The thing was I didn't even realize it. And then when Enzo, like just gave me some of these naturopathic medicines, and I just started meditating, like, I just built myself back up. I was, even looking back, like I'm 175 now. I was like, you don't realize it. Even eating, just I was 194. I'm down to 175 now. Like I've changed my diet completely. Like so it wasn't like I was like that during when I lost my mom. Sorry, my dad, Nicole, lost, all those things happened. Nothing stopped. But like
Hmm.
my friends, like my really good friend Enzo, like I mentioned, he just your real good friends really know. Like you could act tough and strong, but they know inside. Like it hurt. Like I was so like I just lost my dad, and then my mom's telling me stuff that was just crazy, and
Hmm.
I had to make some tough decisions because, I love my mother and, I love my dad, and I was asked to obviously give the eulogy, and I just, so what did I do? Same thing that starts this whole call. I did what I knew who I am. Like it was no, sorry, mom. Like, I have to do, it's my relationship with my dad. And I got to say what I love my dad and he's going to go out and that's it. So
Hmm.
that was it. And then from there, like I said, Enzo, he's helping out several, like I said, several schools that help with those types of things with even kids, like if they're stressed out. I mean, COVID, those types of things. So that was really that was it. It wasn't, and then that's kind of all that happened.
Yeah. Now, was there ever a time, in your professional career, as you're working with all these schools and you're working with all these people in business, and you're kind of seeing your colleagues to the side of you or ahead of you or behind you or whatever, right? I mean, because let's face it, we all kind of watch what everybody does, and we see it. Did you ever feel that sense of I need to be there, or I should be there, or I need to portray this image of what I'm supposed to be? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I never, I never cared, man. Like
Yeah.
that, like it's no, I mean like yeah, honestly, like it's been like it's so interesting. I think that as you get into this and as you go through this journey, like even right now, like I still own a building and the studio in there is my nephew's and I helped create it when it originally started, but I'm not in the studio anymore. But
Hmm.
circling back everything that I've been through and everything that's going on and just in general, it's funny. Like I just mentioned this to my nephew Jonathan the other day. I said, I think I want to come back and teach once a week. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because here's the thing that I would say that I think most people wouldn't say. Again, getting back to just, I know who I am. I can't worry about everybody else. After this whole entire journey of everything, and even studio bosses, especially, like I know what I want to do. I know what I don't want to do. And what I want to do is like I really want to coach people, like guide them to just like. And again, when I say coach, it's like my studio boss clients and people that work with me. Like I think what I bring is that, like yeah, the technology and marketing. Okay, yeah, that's great, right? But that's that. This is who I am. Like I'm a teacher, right? I don't want to teach like yes, like we have people that can teach software and how to use the features and cool stuff like that. I don't want to do that. I have no interest in showing people like I'll talk about features but I don't want to train people how to do it. I want to train them how to just like get down this path to find themselves. And like how I do it, like it's like for example, like some of my schools now, that we're doing a We the People challenge, and it's what it is. All it is it's a way for them to help raise the frequency of people or in their areas, like for their students in their area, in that area. So that's one of the things we're doing. Is so when I say teaching, like that's what I'm teaching frequency. I'm showing people like we have a problem. And this is like the thing is, Jason, it's sad is like everyone talks about everyone working together and stuff like that. The problem is that fear is being implanted everywhere in society. And these low frequencies I talk about, like whether it's media, whether it's watching TV, like some of them are so advanced in the way they're doing it that they're putting kids, specifically younger people, into these low frequencies of fear and scared and whatever. So to me, that's what I want to show people. I want to help them with their awareness. Like this is a low frequency activity, being on your phone for 9 hours playing a game. Like that's not doing. Let's get out of nature. Let's go out and do a nature walk. Let's go out and just like let's work out. Let's just do anything other than these low frequency activities. So that's what I do. It's not the We the People Challenge is not like about politics. It's about like doing something for your community and helping people raise their frequency. Because let's face it, man, people are scared. There's a lot of uncertainty. It's just the way it is. No one knows what's going to happen. I mean, it's so that's really what I love the most. And I'm very excited about. I'm like going under like instructor training with my nephew because I want to be teaching like Muay Thai. And I was a Kempo guy, but I love Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu now. So I'm really looking forward to that. And again, that is what my clients get is that like I want to help them just like, I believe, Jason, the easiest way to break it is that when you ask me what's my purpose, it's like to give other people hope. So no matter how bad it's been in your business, your relationship, your life, your whatever, your trauma, your childhood, whatever, like I think I've been in some really tough situations, but you know what? I don't know what it was. I just never, like even my parents didn't support me doing karate. Like when I told my mom I was quitting school to do martial arts, it was like, get out of the house, like get out of here. Like, but for whatever reason, I always just had this, I always believed in myself, no matter how bad it was. And I have lots of situations. So that, and that's why I think I relate to a lot of people. It's like, I've been there, even in marriage at one point. Like, I had to work through that. Like just myself, so many different things. So that's really what I think my purpose is. And I just want to show people, man, listen, like frequency, like check yourself. Like, yeah, you look good on the outside, but are you really doing high frequency activities? So that's what I love. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all good. It's great to hear all of that. You brought up martial arts and your martial arts background. So let's touch on that because that's something that I actually haven't heard a lot about because I hear a lot about Studio Boss and what you did with Parrella and what you were doing online, all that. But I just haven't heard a lot about your martial arts background and so now shed some light on that. How did you get involved in martial arts? What made you want to get involved in martial arts?
That's probably the best story of all. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
Yeah. So very different than most of you guys and girls out there. So my problem was I did martial arts when I was younger. I was forced to do it. Like I really don't consider that part of my training. Like I was having behavioral issues in school. And I had to go to a Tang Soo Do school or Tung Soo Do school. So I did that for like 3 years when I was like third grade to sixth grade. And then it just fizzled out, whatever. And then this is what happened. So I go to a prep school in New Jersey, high school, and then I go to Philadelphia University. At the time, it's called Philadelphia Textile, and I try out for the soccer team. And I went from playing at a local prep school, like number one in South Jersey, we were state champions. And I went here. This was Division I, and the coach. It was very humbling. I remember like he basically called me in the office. Remember how I said like no one pronounces my name right? He's like Dougherty. Like I'm like Dougherty. He's like, I'm sorry, Rick. I'm like, it's Nick. And then he's just like, yeah. So like you made the team, but you're never gonna play. And I said, hold on a second. Wait a second. So can you say that again? And he's just like, yeah, like you're on the team. I want to put you on the team. You're a hustler. Like you hustle. I love that energy, but you're never gonna play. So I was just like, and it was pretty humbling because I said, never? He's like, ever. And I literally just was like, okay. I said, so he's like, why don't you think about it? Decide what you want to do. I was okay. And I just remember going home that I never even told my wife this. I remember going like home that night, in the dorm, and I was just crying. I was just like so embarrassed. You know what I mean? Like it was one thing to tell people you made the team, but like, who cares if you're not playing? You know what I mean? Like that's just not. I'm not about that. Like I don't want to sit on the bench. No offense, but just not doing that. So it was I remember calling my dad and he just, I wasn't getting really what I was looking for. It was just like, be proud of yourself. I'm like, no, like I don't want to be a practice squad player. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not, I'm not proud of that.
Right.
So anyway, so then go to a party, like that Friday night or something. Like, I'm still at the college. I'm still going to college. I wasn't dropping out of college. And I meet this guy. He's like a bouncer. He's a big guy. He's like, yo, man. He's just like, grab my arm. And I was just like, grab it. He did some wrist lock on me or something. So then he's like, grab my shoulder. And he put me like a wrap around. Like, he just went like this and wrapped around. So I said, what is that? He's like, it's Kempo. This is where it gets crazy. So I said, okay. I said, like, where do you do that at? He's like, right down the street. He's like, you should come with me. I was like, does it cost money? He's just like, he goes, yeah, it's like 100 hours a month. I'm like, oh, dude, I don't have a job. I'm broke. I don't have any. He's like, yeah, just come with me, whatever. So I went, and it was like a movie, man. This is like Karate Kid movie. Like, this should have been a movie. So I go in, and it's like, I hear about the sensei, you're going to meet Sensei John, So I go in, and I go in just like this. I go in the office, and it's a guy, and he's got like, he was in Vietnam. So one of his arms was like blown off. It was like I hate to say it, it was like it was there, but didn't do anything, but he looked like a bad, like, beard, goatee, just like, and he's just like, so tell me, why do you want to do martial arts, or Kempo? And I was like, I met my friend. I said, I just want to be able to defend myself. And he goes, okay, like, what else? Like, what are you gonna do for us? And I'm like, I don't really have anything to contribute. I'm sorry. Like, I don't have any money. I don't have a job. I don't know why I'm here. Like, I remember I was like 19,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes, I like you though. I like you. He's like, could you mop mats? I said, like, just, what do you mean? And he's just like, could you mop a mat? And I'm like, I guess I could. He's just like, do you want to train? And I'm like, so not out of it at this age, I was like, yeah, I do. He goes, well, then mop the mats. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, if you mop the mats, you could train, Nick. I'm like, really? So he's like, yeah. So I started. And this was at a Kempo school in New Jersey, or sorry, Pennsylvania. And that's where I met David Pantano. So I don't know if you know Dave Pantano.
Mm-mm. No.
Dave Pantano is he's a premier guy, premier martial arts now. He's been with them for like, I don't know, 20 years or something like that, or 10 years with Barry. And
Yep.
so I meet this. I was trying to quit. I didn't want to come to classes anymore because I wasn't feeling it, But he kept calling me, like, Nick, where you at? When are you coming back? I would go, the absent calls, So I would come in, and then next thing you know, they're sparring one day. Because I was kind of bored with it. Like, until I saw sparring, I'm like, this is just all right. Enough self-defense techniques. I don't care. So then they just said, you want to spar? I'm like, I never even sparred before. What do you mean? They're like, just put some gear on. I went out there, started sparring. I loved it. I was just like, I got my ass beat, or sorry, I got beat up a little bit, and started sparring. And then all of a sudden, this is where it gets even more crazy. We start going to tournaments. They're like, you want to go to a tournament? I'm like, yeah. So I was like, whatever. So I go to this tournament, and the same bouncer I told you about, remember the guy who's like, who I went with? Well, we take this girl, right? It's some girl I'm just friends with her at the time. And I remember, like, he's in the back seat. We pick him up, and he's just like, what's your name, honey? And she's like, Nicole. And he's just like, he goes, yeah. He's like, don't worry. He's like, I'm going to the finals, so Nick's not going to make it, but you'll be traveling back with me. So you'll be leaving with a winner one way or the other. You know what I mean? So it's my first tournament. So I'm not saying nothing. You know what I mean? Long story short, he loses first round. I took first.
Ah, nice.
The ride home was like so funny because it was like all I know is, remember the sensei I told you with the arm? He comes over to me. He was like Karate Kid. He's like this. He's like, side kick and back knuckle. That's it. Side kick, front leg, side kick, back knuckle. That's it, Nick. I don't want you doing nothing else. You got me? I'm like, yeah. So that's it. So I had no idea what I'm doing. People were just coming in. I'm lifting my leg up. They're walking into the side kick. You know what I mean? Like, because I really, it was my first tournament. So anyway, so then I start going to all these tournaments, and I'm wearing an Amerikick gi. And all of a sudden I see this guy come up to me. Like, he comes up to me. I lost or something, the Battle of Baltimore. And he's just like, he talks to me, but it was like, he was so like, so interesting how he said it. Like, he basically was really nice that, like, why I lost, he was just like, he goes, if you actually would have done this, you might've had a chance, but you just kept doing the same thing over and over again. He's like, if you really want to learn how to fight, why don't you, like, you're an Amerikick, why don't you come fight with me and Justin Smith? So I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, whatever. So I'll never forget. It was a Saturday. It was Chris Milleras, Nick Perdun, Justin Smith, and Mark Russo, right? It was in Delran, New Jersey. I was an orange belt or a purple belt. Justin Smith broke my ribs. Chris Milleras, like, I think, dropped an axe kick on he was only 12 at the time. He was already beating me up. He was a monster. You know what I mean? And I just remember leaving there, and I was just like, this is where I need to be. You know what I mean? Because like my father was some, 9 brothers and sisters. Like, it was one thing I knew about was how to fight. Like, it was like, you're going to fight. So I knew that the only way I get better is like, I want to fight with guys that are better than me. So like, I started working with those guys, and they were all world champions, like, and they were already black belts, and I was like an orange belt. So by the time I got to red belt, ask them who was winning. You know what I mean? So like, yeah. So like, I remember Justin specifically because he broke my ribs, and like, and so, yeah. So anyway, so I started working for Mark Russo. I opened Mark Russo's school in Marlton with him. And it was, Mark taught me everything. Mark was one of my best mentors. He taught me how to run the school. He taught me how to do intro lessons. He taught me how to teach classes. He taught me how to do birthday parties. He forced me to do forms to tournaments. I started training in a wushu under Li Pei because he said I was a partial artist because all I did was fight, but so he made me do musical kata. Like, he made me do weapons. He made me like, he is a legitimate, incredible martial artist. Mark Russo is a phenomenal martial artist, phenomenal business entrepreneur. And, things didn't work out with us, but that's okay. Like, like I eventually bought into the franchise, and I was a franchisor with AmeriKick. Things just, I just wanted to do things again. Like, I don't like to be threatened and like have to be forced to do things. And I felt really bad because I really, really liked Mark, and some other people he worked with. I didn't feel the same way. And so anyway, but that was so I ran the school for Mark for years. And then I opened an AmeriKick in New Jersey. After 5 years, at 30, I built my own building. So I was already 30 and I built my own school. And that was really thanks to Mark. And then when I left the franchise, I left the franchise and started working with Fareed Udar from Championsway. And I opened a Champions. I changed my name to Champions. I was running the Championsway office in New Jersey. That's it.
Wow. Well, that's a long, a lot of history right there in that one story. First of all, I had no idea that you had ever done Tong Soo Do because that's my main style. That's what I started in. So that's kind of cool little tie in there. And then the fact that, you went and did a bunch of tournaments and got involved with the sparring, which, who doesn't love sparring? I don't know.
Love
I
it.
mean, I love sparring. But yeah, that's a great story. So you led into talking about how you got involved in Champions Way because that's kind of like the segue into when you started doing some speaking and consulting and different things there. Talk a little bit about your time with Champions Way and then
Yeah, that's
where
probably
you
the
went from
best
there.
question. That's probably one of the best questions. I think that our industry is littered with people that are giving advice that shouldn't be. Like, that's just, come on. I mean, let's be real. I was like picked by Fareed. My school made the fifth most amount of money out of all the schools. Like, that's why Fareed liked me, honestly. And because I did all low cost marketing. So like what I'm saying here is, like, I'm calling it out how it is. There's a lot of people that basically like get into consulting when they haven't done anything, right? And I didn't do that. Like, Charles is on the call right here. He came to my school. Like, I could just tell people, you come to my school. You want to see how school's supposed to run? You want to see 700 students come to my school. Like, any day of the week you want to come. Like, that's how it was. Like, it was a machine. I had 4 full-time instructors, not including myself, my wife, not including the kickboxing instructors either. And yeah, so Champion Fareed, like, I did the first webinar in the martial arts with John Malik about resourceful marketing. And that was how AmeriKick eventually wanted me to help them with the franchise. I opened a school, bro. I had a picture of Dennis Tostin, and that was it. Like, that's all I was even given. And like, within the first, I think, year, we had 300 students or 285 students. It was crazy because of hustle. Because if I didn't make it that month, Jason, I didn't have anywhere to go. So like, when people talk about that type of stuff, like, hey man, maybe you're blessed and you have money behind you and whatever. Like, I haven't been in those situations. No one believed in me. My mom and dad didn't believe in me. They came to my grand opening, but if I didn't make it that first month, like, I was done. So I did door hangers by myself, and I must have walked 30 miles. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me because, as you could see, like, if you put me in front of someone, like, most people are going to like me. You know what I mean? There's probably some people that they go crazy, but I would just go door hangers and I would say hi to kids and moms and the dads. And I would be like, I'm from here. I went to St. Augustine. Like, this is where I grew up. I'm like, bring your kids in anytime. And that was how I did it. So Fareed, as I started doing these really basic, like, honestly, it was just like, it was like a natural gift for my marketing. Like, I just, I just knew how to connect with people and local business owners and people. And I just would give all my resourceful tips. And then I started doing webinars for Championsway. And then I got taken into software. I didn't even want to do it. Like, it was like, next thing you know, like with Freed, it was like, I went to Vancouver. He tried to get me to move there, and I took the position. Like, I took it, and I was at the airport. This is a great story, actually. So he basically offered me, listen, I want you to be my partner. I want you to move here, and I said, okay. I said, I will do that. And then I was at the airport, and it just reality sunk in. Like, I called Nicole. She's right there. I called Nicole. I said, I can't do this. I said, like, I'm in New Jersey. Like, New Jersey's like it's like all over here. Vancouver's, it's a 15-hour flight. 15-hour flight. So I was crying. I called Nicole and I said, I can't do this. I said, she's like, it's such a great opportunity. It's such a great opportunity. And I said, yeah, but I can't be apart from you like that. I can't do that. I said, no way. I said, so unlike most people, Jace, what I did, because I say this because, listen, it's like, it is what it is. Like, I flew back to Vancouver the next day, and I told him to his face, right? Can't do it. So I literally can't. I went on a 15-hour flight, and this guy's ready to, do so much for me. And so I didn't think it was I didn't think it was right to give him a phone call. So I flew another 15 hours back, and as soon as he saw me, he knew there was a problem. And he said, and at first he was very upset, and I understand, So Free was very upset, and after like about 24 hours. He called me. Like, he called me that night, and he was like, "I'm sorry." And I said, "Freed, I love you, man." I said, I just can't do this. I said, like, I'm not. You're not getting Nick. I said, not without my wife, and she's not moving. I said, she's not. I'm not even a citizen. We didn't even talk about that. Like, we never even got that far. So then Free was really kind and generous, and he's like, I love you. But I'm very mad at you. He's like, but I think, you know what? Let's open an office in New Jersey. That was it. And then really that's the experience I had that no one will ever have, because, that at that time, like, Championsway was the dominant force. Like, they had everyone worked with them at one point or another. And during that time frame is when I made most of my relationships. I worked with everyone. I've helped everyone at one point or the other, in some way, like with Perfect Mind, or, even when things weren't good, if people were leaving and stuff like that. Like, I was always the guy. Like, I was the guy that's, hey, no one's calling me back. I'm like, I'm sorry, like, whatever. And I just made sure that the right thing was done. And then, people don't even know this part of the story. So I tried to bring Michael into Championsway. You know what I mean? So I tried to bring, when I started seeing these FCOM sites come out, like, right away, I was like, these are just awesome. I said, like, this is crazy. And then as you saw the results start to spread, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, I'm very good at that. I was telling Freed, I'm like, yo, this guy is, and of course everyone said they sucked. They weren't good, whatever. Like, everyone that worked there, they didn't like, and I'm like, you guys I don't care if you like it. It works. I said, I said, people are getting 30, 40 people a month from this trial. I said, like, it's genius. So then we met, we tried to work together. You know what I mean? We did. And it just, unfortunately that didn't work out. You know what I mean? And then I was, again, faced with another turning point in my life. You know what I mean? Like, because it was like, think about this, it's like AmeriKick. Like, I was the franchisor, like, and I decided, like, like, it just didn't feel right. So I moved on, went with Championsway, and same thing. It was like, the thing that was a struggle was that Michael was so far ahead of everyone. Right. So the thing was like, I was like, we need to find a way to work with him, or he's going to kill us. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. It's like, that's the way the industry is. Like, it goes in ebbs and flows, right? It's like, the thing is, when you've been around long enough, like me, you don't care, because it's like, doesn't matter what you're doing this month, because next month, like, it's like, it's the way the industry works is whoever has the best results, that's where people are going to go.
Right.
They can tell you they love you. They can tell you that they're whatever, but the reality is like, that's what happens. So, so then from there, like, I knew that Michael was going to be a major threat, and he invited me to go to a mastermind in New York. So I went, while I was working with Championsway, like I told Freed, I was like, I'm going to this mastermind. I want to see what he's doing. And then that was when Michael basically said to me, he's like, listen, he's like, he gave me an offer. Yeah. We were up on a rooftop bar, and Michael made me an offer, and it was really hard. it was really hard, you know. And then what really made it easy was just that I think Free was so hurt, you know, that I was considering this or, you know, whatever. And then I just, you know, it was really tough. It was really tough. And then, you know, then unfortunately, like the communication wasn't that great between Freed and I. Like, I don't know. I really don't know what was going on. And it wasn't good. And then he left me really no alternative because now Michael was basically putting pressure on. He's like, if we're going to do this, like, I need an answer. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then that was it. I made the call. I just, you know, I made a decision. And then, you know, same thing though, Jason. After that happened at the Super Show, I went and I met with Freed one-on-one to his face. You know what I mean? And he's like, you know, Freed's awesome. He was just like, he goes, you know, I hate you right now. He's like, but I love you so much. But I love you so much. He said, so I can't hate you. He goes, he's like, I just think you're so stupid right now. You know, he was always like that with me. He's just like, you know, and listen, Freed's doing phenomenal. Like Freed is on fire. Like he's doing fantastic. You know what I mean? I was never worried about Fareed, you know, like he was more worried about me. Honestly, he was such a good friend, you know what I mean? And, you know, everyone, that's the thing. It's like, you know, like, you know, so I met some really incredible people. So then there we were. So then Michael and I start, and I started with I Love Kickboxing, really. That's really what I started with. And then as I got in there, I just saw like a lot of holes. And then, you know, I basically, the position changed. Like, it was like, I think you're better off working with the martial arts people. And then that was it. We started Mavs year 2, and that was it. It was great, you know. And then we moved on from each other and took a break, you know. But Michael, like even the stuff I'm working on right now, like it's like, you know, I'll give you guys a little hint or whatever you want to call it. Michael's the most copied, you know, company that there ever was in the martial arts. Like everyone has copied like the style of FCOM, you know. And the thing is about millionaires and people that are geniuses like that is that, yeah, like, you know, people would say, oh, you know, whatever, he lost this, or like, but you have to remember with these types of guys, like they'll do it again. Like that's the difference, you know what I mean? And like I'm humbled because, like, you know, I took the lead on Studio Boss for a while. I really did, you know, and then up until recently, in the past several months, the stuff that Michael has been just working on and you know, just with me, but really his lead, I just told him, I said, hey man, like I'm okay, bro. Like people notice about me. Like I'm okay to like take a back seat. I said to him, I said, hey man, listen, I love everything you're like, you need to stay in this zone. Like, you know, it's like, I'm very good at like helping people with that. So like I've helped Michael with this before. I'm like, listen, I said, I love where you're going with this. And this will be that next revolutionary thing in internet marketing for studios and membership type businesses. So it's like, because the reality is, it's like, I don't see there's not much innovation. Like it's just like opt-in forms, trials. It's like the websites look relatively similar, you know. And Bill Parcells says one of the best quotes: when everyone's thinking the same thing, no one's thinking, you know. And it's like, so that's why I say, like, you know, like, listen, we've been on the top, you know, I've been on top of my business before, you know, my schools go up and down. Like you have to be able to balance it out. You're not always going to stay at like number one, you know. And even in meditation, that's where I learned that, Jason. Like, is that meditation teaches you that, like, Charles is one of my best friends and best clients I've ever worked with. I just love him. Like, you know, he went through something recently, and when he goes through, the thing is, when you go through things, it's like, that's life, man. It's like, and it's like, it's how you handle yourself when things are not going great. You know, so when that is the true sign of someone, is when things aren't going great, how you handling yourself. You know what I mean? And also when you're in those stages of maybe you're high, maybe go down a little lower, right? When you're lower, or like right now, even the stage we're in, it's like more of a numbness state. Like, it's like, what I mean is that we're getting ready to do something, but we're not, it's like about, you know, 60 days away, 45 days away, right? Like, it's like having the discipline of just being patient, not trying to let the cat out of the bag like we've done in the past. And just knowing, like, it's like, we have a knowing. A knowing is like saying to yourself, it's like, yeah, this isn't going to matter. Like, okay, yeah, there's some people that don't move over and don't want to work with us. But the reality is that when you see things that are just more innovative than what everyone else has, people start thinking again, and they start remembering again. It's like, you know, like, this was the guy that did this. Well, isn't it interesting? He's bringing something else that everyone's going to want, and that it's going to happen. So it's kind of just like, I'm kind of just like sitting back and I'm enjoying watching everyone talk about themselves and their accolades and whatever. And it's like, you have to be around the block, you know, and even Michael, like even Michael's changed a lot too. Like Michael's not coming back as like the Michael Parrella that he was. It's just, he's totally different. We don't want to fight with anyone. We don't want to argue with anyone. It's going to be way different because we're different. We're different. And even where we're going is different, Jason. Like we're not just martial arts guys. That's just, I mean, some people are, I think, and that's great. I think that's awesome, but we're not. Like we work heavily in real estate. We also, we work with like coaching, like just regular people that do coaching in all different verticals. You know what I mean? Studios, yoga, you know, I'm heavily involved with a lot of yoga studios right now. And Pilates, you know, and basically just, so it's not just like, we're not just martial arts guys, we're entrepreneurs. That's, if you're looking at entrepreneurs, we're the guys that are the entrepreneurs. That's what we do.
Well, we will stay tuned to see what is coming soon, and I'm gonna segue into the last two things I want to talk about. One thing I held on to for quite a while, but you mentioned this briefly, and maybe I missed it. But did you say that you have 9 siblings, or your father had 9 siblings?
My dad,
Your dad did.
yeah,
Okay,
your dad, Dougherty, Jude. His name was Jude.
got it.
9 brothers and sisters from 2nd Street in Philadelphia.
Man, I was gonna say, what was that like? But obviously, that was your dad, so you probably don't know what that was like. But
Listen,
what was
wait,
it like?
hold on. Let me tell you what that was like. What that was like was hearing, like, made me so much more grateful for what I had because my dad, cardboard sneakers, right? Like there were no boots. It was having basically just like a plastic bag as you know, whatever, like food. My dad ate potatoes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They had potato sandwiches, potato cereal, potato sandwich with mayo, whatever it was. I mean, it was like, it was really, like, you know, he taught me just like so much about that, like watching his family life and his brothers, their bonds. Like my Uncle Tommy, he's still alive. My Uncle Bill passed away. My Uncle Raymond passed away. My Uncle Johnny passed away. They were just like, they were the toughest guys in that they were really tough guys in South Philadelphia. They had to be. They didn't. They like my grandmother would open the door and kick them out when they were 7, and she would and they would go to work, like deliver papers. Like, you know, you heard some crazy stories, and like I just love my dad for who he became and just like where he came from, and you know, like I'm like, looking at how I was raised compared to him. Like, you know, I had this. Like, I think, like, you know, I just think that he's such an amazing person to come from that. You know, I don't know if I could have. I was given this real nice area, like, you know, it's like spoiled, you know, like, so they're just great people, just great people.
Yeah, definitely from a different time.
Totally.
Well, last thing, and you talked about this quite a bit. As we were talking about your meditation. But a good friend of mine, Jose Escobar, I think you might know who that is. But he's got this program going now, Connected Leaders Academy, and one of the things that he talks about in our group a lot is his morning and evening routine. You talked a little bit about what your morning routine is like. Share with everybody what your mornings, what your evenings look like. Just to maybe help inspire someone, because sometimes people just don't know where to start. They're like, they've been waking up doing the same thing, they've been going to bed doing the same thing. You talked about that, doing the same thing over and over, and expecting different results. Sometimes that's kind of the definition of insanity, right? So
Totally.
what are you doing different, or what are you doing that maybe somebody else might give a listen to?
You know, like, I think that, like, this is a really good question. And what I would say is, if you ever remember Jesse Itzler, like, I'm sure a lot of you guys love Jesse, just like one of the best speakers I think I've ever seen. When he spoke at MABS, I had the pleasure of really getting to know him. You know what I mean? And Jesse, he's very different. Do you remember the book that he wrote with, I think it was like Living with a Monk, or like Living with a Seal. Sorry. He did the monk and the seal. So what was very interesting about that book, and this is where it kind of changed for me, was, if you remember, Jesse will get waken up at 2:00 in the morning, at 6:00 in the morning, at 11 o'clock at night, all different times, right? So the reason why I did that was because this thing that everyone talks about, like, listen, and some of my friends, Jason, listen, you gotta remember, I don't care if you're doing this. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but some of my friends get wrapped up into like this rigid routine. And Jesse talks about the complete opposite. And one of the things that I love the most, like, what I try to emulate, and one of the things we gamify for our users, for the studio boss. It's called the sheepdog. Okay. And you hear this question, are you a wolf or a sheep? I'm neither. I'm the sheepdog. I'm not a wolf. I'm not a sheep. I'm the sheepdog. The sheepdog is like Jesse Itzler. And that's the way that I believe that people need to be prepared, is that like when shit's going to hit the fan, when stuff's going to go down, you think it's going to be at 11, like 7:00 in the morning when you're ready to work out? You know what I mean? It's like, no, the sheepdog's ready to go into the fire at any time because they're prepared. Doesn't matter if it's 2 a.m, 7 at night, like whatever, So my suggestion for people is like, if you really are open-minded, as everybody says they are, right? Like it's all connected. Like just because your mind's open, your body has to be open too. It has to be like less rigid with like saying, I have to go to the gym at 7, then I have to meditate. Like, I don't want to force meditation. That's not even meditation. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's, to me, it's more of me going with the flow. And I have an alignment tracker go to the Studio Boss app, everyone should look at this. This is the stuff that no one will show you. It's kind of funny because just check it out. It's an alignment tracker on the Studio Boss app. And Jason, on there, those are the things that are high frequency to me. Right. And so meditation, if I go on there and I meditate, I get a point for it. If I do my exercise, if I do my nutrition, like follow the right nutrition plan, if I do acts of love, like I love that. It's like acts of love are just like doing something so amazing for something but expecting nothing in return. Like for example, like it's my brother-in-law and his wife, it's their 29 year anniversary. And we both take care of our sister. And it's Sunday to Sunday. Well, we saw them Saturday. So I'm like, you know what, guys, we'll take her. You go have a good night. Like, like, it's like, I don't want anything. I just did it for them to, like acts of love. Let someone like call your mom, take her out to dinner just and say, I just want to tell you, I love you. That's it. I love you so much. You know what I mean? Like any type of act, gift, whatever. And then we have this, what else is on there? Let me look at this real quick. And there's a leaderboard attached to this too, Jason. It tracks all your high frequency activities. So those things: meditation, working out, exercise, nutrition. You go and you track it, and each week there's a winner. But my whole thing would be that, like, who is telling you that you have to? Again, it's like the same thing. Like you have to hustle or you have to work smart. Okay, whatever. It's the same thing with this. Like, why are you listening that you have to do these things in such a rigid routine? Like, it's like, I want to do them like, and same thing. Like sometimes I don't go to the gym. Like if I have the feeling, Jason, in the morning, if I have lots of stuff's going on, I don't want to go to the gym and mind all thousands of directions. If I have a development thing that's trying to get released that morning, but I'll go at 2:00 in the afternoon. So what? What I mean? So my advice for everybody is when it comes to these routines and, whatever you're trying to do is, like working out, exercise, following a proper nutrition plan. Gratitude is another one on there. It's on the alignment tracker. Like that is one of the best things you could possibly do. That's one of the best ways to create abundance. Being grateful as much. I go outside my house. I'm so grateful. So grateful for where I live. Like it's the environment. I tell that I must say it 30 times a day. You know what I mean? But my advice, Jace, is pretty simple. Just don't there's nothing you have to do like everyone's telling you have to do. Like it's this everybody that gets in their head. And who's the everybody? It's like, everyone says I need to do this. Everyone says I need to. I don't care what everybody says. I'm doing what's best for Nick. That's what I am.
Yeah.
You should do the best for you. Do what works best for you. But think of that sheepdog. Like think about that too. Like, are you only training at like 10 o'clock in the morning? Like sometimes get up at 5. Sometimes go later for a run. Like train yourself to be the sheepdog. Like just Google the video too. It's a great video of the sheepdog. It's really awesome. And that's what we do. The people that Larson, one of our clients, he won the contest. And what he does for the alignment tracker we did a We the People challenge. So he did the best points, right? And that's and what he's doing is he gets to come out and hang out with I'm the sheepdog. So he hangs out with me, and I bring him in for the workouts. I show him everything I'm eating, all my supplements, everything I'm doing, all the books I'm reading, all the meditations I'm doing, and he just hangs out with me for 2 days. That's what we do.
Yeah. Nice. Well, hey, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today and just sharing your story, sharing your advice, sharing your experience. What I want to hear from everybody that is watching this video now or will watch this later is I want you to drop a comment that just lets us know what did you take away from this video? What was your biggest takeaway from the video? Would love to hear those in the comments. And I would also love for you guys to check back each and every Monday because I have several guests. As a matter of fact, every Monday until the end of the year. As a matter of fact, I'm starting to book 2023 already with more guests. So I hope you guys enjoy watching these shows as much as I do interviewing my guests. And Nick, thank you so much again for being on today.
Thank you so much, guys, for your time. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we'll see y'all soon, and we'll see you again next Monday. Take care, Nick.
See you guys.
All right. Bye bye.